Hi, welcome to English 202. My name is Professor Myra George, and I'll be your instructor this summer. Our English 202 online course meets fully online, and that means that all your lessons have been posted in Blackboard, and whenever you're ready to work on the course, you should go to Blackboard, log in, and enter our course. Even though much of the work you'll be doing in the class is reading, and you can do that offline, when you do have to submit an assignment, such as a quiz or a reading response or an essay, that work is to be submitted in Blackboard. Remember never to email your assignments to me. All assignments, because you're working fully online, all assignments have variable dates. In general, assignments are due on Wednesday at noon, and then additional assignments for the week are due on Saturday by 11:59 p.m. That means that you decide when you need to work on the course in order to meet those deadlines. If you had a chance to look at the picture that's posted in our Blackboard site, you might have noticed that there's quite a bit of literature in the photograph. And that's because this course is a continuation of English 201, and it focuses on reading literature. We'll begin with short stories, and then we'll move to poetry, and we'll end with a play. Even though the literature is primary, it really is there as a springboard to the writing. It inspires the topics that we write about. And that's why you'll also notice in the photograph a picture of a pencil and of a typed essay, because the writing that we do is even more important than the literature that we read. The purpose of the literature is to encourage you and teach you how to think and write and talk about literature in a way beyond the ordinary. Most students begin the class, and if we ask them to analyze literature, they say, well, I liked that story, or I didn't like that story. But they don't really have good reasons for why they liked it or disliked it. What you'll learn this semester is whether you like a work of literature or not is almost irrelevant. That's not even our purpose. Our purpose is to talk about how the literature was written and whether it was well written or not. We can dislike a piece of literature, but grudgingly admit that it is well written. But again, beyond thinking about the literature, you're also going to learn about writing. The number one focus of our course is to teach you the writing that is necessary at the college and university level in terms of thesis statements, body paragraphs, topic sentences, unity, development, MLA documentation. All the things that you'll need to be successful, not only in English 202, but in any college course, whether that's at MATC, at UWM, at Alverno, at Madison, at Harvard, or at Yale. We'll teach you the skills that you need to get that done. And because writing is a skill, some people think it's a talent, but academic writing is actually a skill. And our skills improve the more we do something. So if you want to know how to dance, the more you practice, the better you become. The same is true for writing. That's why in this class you'll get lots of writing practice, and you'll have things to write every week of our course, many things to write every week. In addition to the academic writing, our focus will also be on developing critical thinking skills. For example, you'll learn to read between the lines to understand what the writer intended, and you'll draw inferences. Most creative writers don't come out and say what they mean, but they leave lots of little hints that will lead you to it. You will be trained to be able to notice those hints and to understand what they mean. And this can be very important in the workplace when you're dealing with colleagues who might not communicate as directly as you would like. And it's also very helpful in relationships when your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife is upset and has that look on the face, but you're not sure why. Perhaps something you've learned in English 202 will help you read between the lines. In addition, you will be taught to pay attention to details. That's really important. If you were a nurse, for example, and you had to give a patient a dose of medication, it would be very important that your dosage be correct. If not, you could kill your patient. The same kind of thing is true in business and engineering and human services and every field that you can think of. It's important to be precise, to be conscientious, and to pay attention to the details. Analyzing literature will help you learn to do that. And finally, you will learn how to follow directions closely. You'll see that I write very explicit and lengthy directions. I know exactly what I want you to do, but it's up to you to be able to read those directions and understand it and do the work. With workplaces changing all the time and many of us working in a different location from our employers, being able to read directions and follow them is really important, not just in the workplace, but even at home. If you're trying to assemble something or you're trying to connect your technology, you need to be able to read and follow directions. This class will emphasize that and teach you how to do it. So hopefully you're excited about the class, and now the question is, how and where do you get started? The first step is to go to the assignments portion of our class. So if you look at our Blackboard course, once you're in, there are really two panes, and one is the main pane. Make sure you always scroll down so that you can see the announcements there, and you can just use the ribbon in the right side to scroll down. But there's also a smaller course menu over on the left side of the page. And that course menu has organized information for you. To find your assignments, go to the assignments section of the course. You'll see a gray kind of bar that separates that from the other parts. And when you're first beginning in this first week of class, click the Start Here button. For every unit in our course, I will list the unit for you, such as the short story unit, and I'll also tell you the dates that that unit runs. So the Start Here unit begins today on June 12th, and it continues until June 15th. After June 15th at noon, then we move to the short story unit. To get started, click the Start Here button, and then when you do that, you'll go to a second screen over here, and it will show you a series of folders. For the Start Here unit, there's just the one folder. In order to open the folder and see the assignments, make sure you click on the underlined words to open the folder and see all the work. That's a good tip for Blackboard in general. Whenever you see something underlined, always click on it. It means that there's more information for you behind that curtain, if you will. Another thing that I'll try to do is if there's an assignment that needs to be submitted, not just something you need to read or tour on the website, but if you actually need to submit something and get points, I'll try to always make that assignment the dark red color so that it stands out from the other assignments that are ungraded. As you work in the course, there are a few important things that I'd like you to remember. And the first thing is for those students who have taken online courses before. One of the things that online instructors hear quite a lot is, well, my history teacher always let us blah, blah, blah. Always remember that that was your history course and this is your English course. This course is this course, and it has its own rules and its own requirements, and they may be different from what you have learned before from other teachers. And that's perfectly fine. Just as you would not expect to go to the math instructor and find him to be identical to the history instructor, the same works here. Online courses are different from department to department and even from teacher to teacher. So always pay attention to the rules of this course, and don't worry if another instructor has different rules for that course. You may even find it helpful to jot down notes about the important requirements for each of your classes. The second important requirement is that in this class, do not save your work in rich text format. Always save your work as a Microsoft Word file so that it ends with .doc or .docx. If you don't have Microsoft Word, email me and I'll show you how you can get a free copy of that, or I'll show you how you can use Google Docs, which every student has, in order to save your work in the correct format. If it's not in the correct format, chances are you will lose points and I will not grade your work. I may send it back to you to be put in the right format, which means that it could come in late and almost too late. So make sure you always submit it in the correct format. Number 3, make sure you use the required file save name. You can imagine, I've been teaching at MATC. This will be the start of my 13th year. So, or my 14th year actually. So I have a lot of student files on my computer, and it's important to me to be able to find your file quickly. So the first thing that I always need to see is your name for the course. Just your name, your first and last name. Then the second thing is the name that I have given the assignment. So if you're doing the treasure hunt and your name is Jane Ordinary, your file name should be Jane Ordinary Treasure Hunt. Notice that you do not need to put English 202 in. In fact, it's wrong if you do that. Always give it just your name and the assignment name. Number 4, never email assignments to me, and that's because I don't want to lose important work and give you 0 points, even though you actually did an assignment. The email system is not entirely reliable. Most times it is, but sometimes it gets viruses and other things, and I don't want to lose your work. Currently, I have over 9,000 unopened messages from other students, from other faculty members, from administrators here on campus, and etc. But your work is a priority. So when you do email work to me, always write English 202 in it, in the subject line, and there you won't be emailing assignments, but you might be emailing me to ask questions about something. Always make sure that it says English 202. When I see that, I'll open your mail first and I'll respond to you very quickly. The final thing to remember is that deadlines are deadlines. So if you fall behind because you have not managed your time well, or you had something unexpected come up, that's not a huge problem usually, unless it's a major assignment like an essay. But generally speaking, there are more points than you need because I anticipate that you might miss something. You just might overlook it, or you might get really busy, or you may just not feel like doing it, and so there are more points than you need. 1,000 points in our course is a perfect score. In order to, but there are more points than that, so we probably have about 1,100 or 1,200 points. That means that you can miss 100 points and still have a perfect score. So if you do miss a deadline, please don't ask for special privileges to be able to turn it in after the link expires. You will always have 3 days after the deadline to submit most assignments. But beyond that, we need to just move on. So please remember the deadlines. But the most important thing to remember in our class is managing your time. It is very easy for things to just kind of overwhelm you. In our course, you are working at a pace that is double the time that other students did. In other words, I just taught this course in spring semester, and those students had 15 weeks to complete all the assignments. You have all the same assignments, but you only have 7 weeks and 1 day to complete them. So within every week, you are really doing 2 weeks worth of work. And that can be very difficult, especially if you're taking another course, or if you're trying to support a relationship, or if you're working this semester. There are many reasons why it's important to really be organized about how you spend your time. Make sure you know when the deadlines are. Make sure you can meet the deadlines, and try to stay ahead. Try not to procrastinate. The number one rule is to log into Blackboard every day so that you know what the assignments are, and you can plan early enough so that you get the work done. And of course, along the way, I'll be available to help you as you do the course. So there are hundreds of ways practically to contact me. The very best ways are email and text messaging, and I've given you my personal phone number so that you can send me text messages. Students usually say that I've had students on evaluation say that they think I'm a vampire because I don't seem to ever sleep. They text me at 3 in the morning and I text them back. As it turns out, I am a night owl, and so chances are if you text me at 8 in the morning, I won't text you back because I'm probably asleep. But if you text me at 4 in the morning, you're going to get a text message right back. I would rather have you email or text me or call me than to become frustrated with doing something. So when you have an assignment, always try to complete it. But if you try it 2 or 3 times and you still don't get it, I'd like you to contact me. I don't want you to get mad or frustrated. Go ahead and contact me for that. Remember, too, that I've scheduled 2 online chats for the semester, and those chats are on Tuesday night from 6 until 7, and then on Friday night at the same time. And notice that I planned those strategically. Those are planned for the day before your homework is due, so that if you're working on that homework the night before and you encounter a problem, you can log into the online chat and you'll be able to speak with me live in video, almost in person, and you'll be able to get an instant answer to the question that you might have. So you can sort of show me your work and say, am I on the right track? Or you can ask me a question about what might be on the quiz the next day. Anything that you'd like to ask. The weekly online chats are not mandatory. They are optional, and they function like office hours. If you have a question, pop in and ask it. If you don't have a question, don't worry about it. Don't come. There are no points for participating in the online chats. They are simply there in order to help you. You can also reach me through social media such as Twitter and Facebook, but I don't check those on a regular basis, so it's not really a good place to ask a question. I'm also willing to meet with you in person if you want to set up an appointment for me to do that. So hopefully you're excited. Hopefully you know that you have the support for the class. Let's do this now. Remember that to get started, you want to go back to the course menu, click Start Here, and begin. And if you have any questions along the way, I'm just a phone call, an email message, or a text message away. Thanks for your time, and let's have a great week.